What's up?
A couple attending an art exhibition at the National Gallery were staring at a portrait that had them totally confused. The painting depicted three black men totally naked sitting on a park bench. Two of the black men, Parko, had black penises,
Right.
but the one seated in the middle had a pink penis.
A pink?
Pink penis. The curator of the gallery realised the confused couple were having trouble interpreting the painting and offered his assessment. He went on and on for nearly half an hour, explaining, Pete, how it depicted the sexual emasculation of African Americans in a predominantly white patriarchal society.
Right.
In fact, he pointed out, some serious critics believe that the pink penis reflects the cultural and social oppression expressed by gay men in a contemporary society. After the curator left, a Scotsman approached the couple and said, would you like to know what that painting's really about? The couple said, how would you claim to know more about that painting than the curator of the gallery? Because I'm the guy who painted it, he replied. In fact, there's no African-American representation at all. They're just three Scottish coal miners and the guy in the middle went home for lunch.
I'll come straight to the point. This white paper is recommending we spend close to $400 billion over the forward estimates. Now, at some point, the PM is going to be asked a very simple question. In order to protect us from which enemy?
It's so hard to say.
400 billion, pick one.
A regional player.
Specifically, Colonel.
An Indo-Pacific regional player.
More specifically?
Indo-Asia-Pacific.
That's broader. Who are you leaving out?
Europe?
Yeah, I sort of need a country.
Or an unaligned player.
No, a country.
One that won't threaten us, just one.
I'll name one and you just nod. China. Yeah. And what exactly are we protecting?
Strategic interests.
Specifically, Colonel.
Indo-Asia-Pacific strategic.
You know what? I'll say it and then you nod. Our trade routes. And who is our number one trading partner? China? Yeah. So under this scenario, we're spending close to $30 billion a year to protect our trade with China from China. And that doesn't strike anyone at this table as odd?
As you'll understand, I can't comment on an undergoing police investigation, but what I can say is that we will do everything in our power to hide anything we can. Even though Murrell is a little shit and I wanted the 600k back, I'm still not going to dob him in. No to the police, you know. So as party leader, I'll keep you informed and you'll be the first to know. You'll be aware of this in the forthcoming weeks.
You're first made aware of Peter Murrell's arrest?
Oh, we all knew about it before Nicola resigned. I mean, it was well known. And that's why she resigned, because she knew Murrell was up for it, so he was going to get his comeuppance. She was going to dump him and run off with a lesbian lover. But now the police are going through the party headquarters. Christ knows what they'll find in there. I could end up getting done myself. But I shouldn't, because, you know, I'm great.
Well, good evening, John.
Good evening, Ben. How are you?
I am slightly left, slightly right. Not all right tonight. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Can't complain.
Can't complain, can't. I mean, I can complain. I don't know how much I should say about the last, really, 24 hours, but it's been a shit show, as you know, John. That's all I can say. Been a shit show. Shit show. Hasn't it just? I was supposed to have been releasing a wonderful video today at around midday, which now, for legal reasons, I still can't release for at least another 3 months. So, yeah.
Anyway,
that's all I can say.
So, what about the news about Donald?
Are we talking about Donald?
Donald of the Trumpus.
Yeah, we're not talking about the big news about Donald. We're talking about the slightly suppressed news about Donald, aren't we?
Well,
right
the
now.
fact that he won his case against Stormy.
Yeah, he's been awarded. He was awarded $500,000 roughly in damages by Stormy Daniels, and now the Court of Appeals have upheld his claim for lawyers' fees for around $129,000, meaning that Miss Daniels owes Donald Trump over $600,000. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about this bullshit indictment throughout the course of the show. And I think the two are pretty much directly linked at this point. But we shall see. What do you think of this situation then, John?
Yeah, I think, well, we will talk about the indictment, but I think it's a distraction in my view. It's nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, of course it is. But then at the same time, like I say, I can't really delve into it if we're not delving into the indictments right now. But the two, I think, are very, very firmly linked.
Yeah.
And they should be.
Let's dig in later. But
Let's do that.
Just a little.
So what? I was going to say, what you've been up to in the last couple of days. I haven't seen you, John. You're looking more and more refined, shall I say?
Well, I had a shower.
And look, people, we're matching.
Yeah, and it wasn't coordinated.
Not at all. We didn't even plan it. I just turned up wearing this, and he's sitting there wearing that, and I went, "Oh, for fuck's sake, he's dressed like me."
Although I do think my colours are better. I think you're
very dark at the moment.
Yeah, well, yeah, possibly, but you're a bit overexposed. Well, I'm probably underexposed. You're overexposed. Well, hey. And between puts together and you can get proper exposure.
And before John opens the show, we would love to see those likes hit the video so that we can push that algorithm, draw more people in. Hit the share button if you haven't already. We're going to talk. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. It's going to be an emotional evening. John, introduce the show.
Well, and with that, I'd like to welcome one and all to this episode 211 of Chasing Dissent Live with me, John, from a country in turmoil as a former First Minister's husband gets locked up. And from Ben on the south coast of this fair isle that we call England.
Indeed.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
Yeah, I do need to extend that slightly.
Yeah, you do, because I'm still dancing to it in my head. DW says 211. Can you bloody believe it? Waiting for the 250 celebrations. Well, then we might do something for that. You never know. So, you know
250.
It's quite
250. 250.
It will be after May the 11th, I think.
No, it should be. Yeah, we only do two shows a week at the moment.
Let's see what your points can get, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
best have a look at your frequent flyer miles, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, after May the 11th. So,
And speaking of things that are coming up, I will be in Paris, in central Paris, by the looks of it, on the 9th of May, to have a look around and see if anybody's protesting. And if they are, that is when I shall be streaming. And I'll be going back to my old ways for one afternoon only in central Paris. So join me for that little bit of a roller coaster just next month.
So, Putty Put gives us this one. He was one of the first ones out with the information this morning. And the question is valid, because we did think that maybe Nicola had resigned. Well, my view was that she had resigned when she did, because there was nobody that could make her look bad that was going to replace her. And I still think there was a bit of that in it. But I think she probably did know that something was coming. Yeah, I think somebody's giving her the heads up.
I think you could. I think you absolutely could be right. I mean, your little parody video, I think, says it all. She definitely knew. I think they've probably known that this is coming for a while. It was just when they were probably surprised. They probably didn't know they were turning up at the crack of dawn this morning.
Well, she left the house. She got picked up at 8:10. The police turned up at 8:30.
Ooh. So she was, either they strategically waited for her to leave, or she was like, nah, I'm not going to be here. You guys can arrest him in a minute. But I mean, we're going to speculation town here, right? But me and John were kind of having this conversation earlier. Surely she knew, right? Sure, not just about the arrest, but about what he's alleged to have done.
No,
surely she knew.
Of course she has to. She's the First Minister. I mean, he's the Chief Exec. She was the First Minister. Together they ran the party.
Together they ran the party, but secondly, and also, she's his wife. And even when I go abroad without my wife knows where I am and what I'm doing every step of the way, even if I don't bloody tell her. She's got some kind of telepathic bloody link, right? She knows what he's doing.
Yours isn't that kind of marriage.
What, mine's an actual marriage, not a Peter Murrell's.
Yeah, well, yours isn't a.
I'm not my wife's beard.
Yeah, exactly. You're not your wife's beard.
I'm not my wife's beard.
I haven't seen any of Craig Campbell's tweets today. No.
Oh, Craig. Oh, I don't know. No.
I don't know who he is.
I don't know. It's all, but it's all speculation at this point. But surely she must have known something, and I would not be shocked.
So the 600K,
if she is also arrested.
600K was meant to be. Was it meant to be a camp? No, what was the 600K? It was a campaign contribution or something like that. And the allegation is that the SNP just used it for day-to-day running of the party, because I think the party's broke, basically.
Of course.
I mean, they've done nothing but lose members since they got into power. So I think they're probably about half the amount of members they had when they started. So the SNP as a party is defunct. I can't see them getting into power again if there was another election. She did take advantage of it to hold it during the pandemic.
I'm gonna push back on you a little bit there, because unfortunately, please don't hate me for saying this, but mass populations are inherently stupid. So I would say that there's quite a possibility that they are going to get back into power. They will be voted again, because what are the alternatives?
Oh, I think if people are sensible, then they'll vote. They'll vote tactically, and everybody would vote for Labour.
Well, and then you've got old what's his name? The old bloody Salmon. He's his little party, Alba. Is it called Alba?
Vote for that. No.
No. Why is it that your country has this affinity for putting people in power who have the surnames of a fish? It doesn't.
It's Salmond, not salmon.
Oh, it's
Salmond.
You know. Everybody calls him Alex Salmon. Yeah, right?
That's not his name.
Salmon, sturgeon.
But there you go. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So the whole thing's about. It was a long time coming, though, wasn't it? It really was a long time coming. I mean, it should have been over and done with, possibly 2 years ago. That should have been they should have been arrested and investigated. And the thing is, they've gone into the headquarters and all that as well. So they've taken shitloads of stuff out of there. So we'll see what happens. But I don't know what they're doing in the garden though, because they did have a spade and they put those tents up. So I think maybe they think he's buried the money in the front garden.
Buried the money.
Or has anybody seen Sean Batty around? Has he disappeared?
Do you think they've been wiretapping him? And he's like, Nicola, go to McDonald's, but first, go to the garden and get some cash. Aye. Go, get some cash.
Maybe he's buried wee Sean in the garden. Anyway.
Maybe, or maybe something even worse.
So, yeah.
Let's move on to our good friend Mark Changizi, shall we? Let's get away from this Scottish drama. I know it's your server, but he says those things that purposely close down the economy kill. And he's got a tweet here from Kevin Bash, PhD, who says new data: 1/3 of life expectancy lost in America during COOF was from lockdowns, not COOF. Some researchers believe COOF deaths were overcounted 3 to 10 times. I
think that's conservative.
Well. I said this suggests that lockdowns caused a far greater loss of life expectancy than the COOF itself. And once again, in this country, I will direct you back to the fact that the University of Warwick gave our government a study that said just that. It said that the lockdowns in this country would inadvertently cause 300 to 500,000 deaths.
Yeah, and the thing is,
they went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah, and our friend Mark will be visiting us on the Thursday, the 13th of April. So put that.
Oh, we've got him back, have we?
Yeah, I told you that. So I told you we've got Suzanne tomorrow.
Yes.
So Suzanne Seddon's on tomorrow night, and then we've got Mark on the 13th, and then we've got Ed the Techie and his investigation into Dirty Diana on the 27th of April. So the only slot we have empty at the moment is the 20th.
And I think I have a couple of people in mind for that, not who we were discussing earlier. I've got a couple of people in mind for that. I did tell you in the chat. Can't announce anything just yet. Yeah. But there is something else that I have in the works, and that is all I will say for now. You little tease.
So I was watching something from Mark today, and it was really pretty good, and it kind of explained why the people that were pro-lockdown can't change their minds, because they don't have the capacity to, because their argument wasn't that, their argument's not that the science changed, because the science hasn't changed, right?
Nope.
Their argument is locked into the fact that they believed in action, and they believed in the government taking the actions. And
you know what, even the government.
But for that to be effective, they had to believe that this wasn't a question of free speech or rights or anything like that. It was a question of the actions the government took had to be effective. Now, if they turn around and say those actions were not effective, then they don't have a leg to stand on, so they cannot do that. That's why they cannot accept that they're wrong. That's why you get so much pushback from these people on the pro restriction side, because there is nowhere for them to go if they suddenly go, well, actually we were wrong and these things maybe weren't effective. Their whole thing's gone, and they're just left there as a gibbering pile of complete and utter nothing.
No, well, Mark is absolutely right.
Yeah.
And the government themselves, when we can look at, remember when they first sort of reopened bars and pubs in this country, there was guidance. There was guidance issued to those bars, pubs, restaurants, whatever. And in that guidance, it specifically stated that there was no evidence that masks indoors would work. Right?
Yeah.
It specifically said that from the UK government. So we're not going to mandate them. Then there was public and media outcry, and the government went, right, we have to be seen to be doing something. So instead of actually, releasing a study or something like that, what they actually did was simply remove that paragraph from the guidance and said, yeah, we're going to mandate them now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, remember when the whole thing kicked off as well, because the WHO's playbook for pandemics was never shut borders, don't stop travel. And they just changed that overnight for no good reason. Nothing, nothing about it. Nothing about the science changing. They just changed it because people wanted you to stop travel. People wanted you to limit their actions. People wanted you because it made sense in their little brains that this would stop things. And that's not how the world works, unfortunately, because, I mean, they've actually got evidence to show that it doesn't matter about air travel because viruses, if they exist and if they're travelling, seem to spread through the jet stream. So they go everywhere anyway. So,
this is it. And this is why things like one-way systems could never have worked.
That's just, I mean, you think about and airplane travel, right? Airplane travel kept going, right? So you were 2 meters apart in the airport and through security and at the gate until you got to the plane, and then suddenly it was fine to sit next to 300 other people.
Of course it was, science. Science, John.
It's just nuts. It was, I mean, anyone with half a brain would look at that and go, what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? And we did. I mean, because I must admit, I deliberately ignored every restriction that I could.
Didn't we all?
Yeah. Well, no, we didn't. Most people didn't. We might have, but most people didn't.
I would say that most people watch. Oh, God. We're back. We're back. We are back.
Hey.
Hello, people. We are sorry about that.
I don't know if anyone's on Virgin Media, but it's been up and down like a pair of whores' knickers.
Yeah, we are very sorry. Very, very sorry. We don't know what's happening with YouTube or things like that. But we are back. And yeah, we all had a lot of...
I've got CPU at 1.7%. I've got dropped frames at 0%, right?
Right.
And I was sitting watching the YouTube thing buffering away, and the YouTube the quality seems to have dropped, but I can't understand.
It looks good
why.
My end.
Yeah, I can't.
I can see the YouTube stream. It's looking good now. So
yeah, I think a combination of circumstances being that Virgin are shite. They might be fast when they work, but generally, when they go wrong, they are shite.
I think you could possibly be correct, John.
Yeah.
I think you could possibly. I'm just doing some speed tests my end to make sure everything is good here.
Yeah, I think everyone's fine.
And
I don't think it's up.
Looking
Virgin Media don't seem to know what to do when they go down. Because it's like, I mean, they went down the other night, and I changed the DNS away from Virgin, and everything worked. So it was obviously a DNS fault at their end, but they didn't fucking have a clue what they're doing.
Of course not.
But anyway,
hopefully you won't have that issue anymore when you move to your new studio.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think you're always going to have these problems, and this is a problem with technology. It's not a washing machine. That's the problem, because people expect they take these things and they expect it just to work, and very rarely do computers just work. I mean, you know that as much as anyone. You know, they're not really a domestic appliance, and computing isn't even a science. It's an art.
No. Well, yeah. You're absolutely right. It is an art. Right, shall we move on? Anyway, we're out of the shite. We've got a few people watching. We've got double the viewers we do likes. So before we do move on, I'm gonna have to get a bit.
Yeah, when you're talking, it's advisable to face the microphone, donkey boy.
Can't even get the damn bat out, John. I can't even get the damn bat out. Get yours out.
That's a bit previous.
Just get it out, John. Whip it out, boy.
Right. In one of his first acts as First Minister, okay, him's useless. The Scottish Government has now a dedicated Independence Minister. And this chap is the dedicated Independence Minister, Dave Duggan MP, right?
So basically, he's got a dedicated minister that can go to Westminster and go, "Can we have a referendum, please?" And then Westminster will go, "No."
No. What he has now, in my view, is the first thing he's done is effectively put someone in post that he can blame when they don't get independence. Not my fault. I'm great. It was Dave Duggan that failed. So you're on the chopping block, Dave, aren't you?
I think it could be, but also at the same time, his literal job is going to be to go to Westminster and go, "Aye, can we have a referendum, please?"
And they're going
And
to
Westminster are just going to go,
no,
no, no.
Because Westminster's already getting wise to them because the National, which is the SNP's paper, right? The UK, and you think this was, it's as if they're telling us something that we don't want to know. The UK government is reportedly planning to further crack down on the Scottish government's international activities over fears that SNP ministers are using the global stage to promote independence. Now,
Well, they are. They're going outside of their station to do it.
But but the other thing they're doing is they're massively overstepped their remit. They're using public money to do it.
Yes. I mean, Nicola, when she was first minister, she was going on promotion tours all over the world, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Come to Scotland. Her job is not international relations, and it never has been. That's not part of relations for the United Kingdom. I'm not saying I agree with the system, but the international relations for the United Kingdom are done by Westminster.
Well, I would go further. I would go further. My view is the whole devolution thing is a massive failure. It's a failed experiment. It's time to rip it out by the roots and let's go back to the system we had before, because it's not doing us any favours. It's not doing you any favours. It's not doing the people of Scotland, the people of England, the people of Ireland, the people of Wales any favours whatsoever. It's not helping the public purse. All it's doing is creating division and making everyone hate each other. So what's the point?
What? You mean like the aims of government would be to control the population, and the way they do that is by making us hate each other, because if we are focusing upon one another, we are not focusing upon them. It's as simple as that. I mean, I don't go down many rabbit holes, you know that, right? But at the same time, I think we can all agree that your government does not have your best interests at heart. That's saying, the scariest words you can hear, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of coming from the government and here to help, this Yvette Cooper is really they all are horrible people, to be honest, right?
Yeah, but she's not from the government.
No, but what she's doing is she's saying things, right, that the Labour Party have been guilty of in the past.
Yes.
Right. And then she's blaming the government for failing to act on grooming gangs. Okay. So
well, you can see the narrative that's forming around social media at the moment, because Suella Braverman has named a certain type of offender, shall we say?
yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and
Now-
then they come out with a study disproving it, saying that the majority of grooming gang members are white males.
Yeah, well, of course they are.
Yeah, sure.
Of course they are. The majority of the country is made up of white males.
But
what we need to look at is proportionality.
yeah,
Now, I
apart from
guess
that,
via
apart from that, right? My beef around this is all this is doing is just perpetuating this myth that it matters who you vote for, right? Because it doesn't matter which party's in power if the whole system is broken, and the whole system is broken. So it doesn't matter who you go out and vote for because the party system doesn't work. So government needs to be revamped from the bottom up. And the problem is, how are you going to do it?
And the thing is, we don't have the answer for that. We can tell you what the problem is, but we're not here to tell you the answer, right? You need to come up with that. We all need to come up with that collectively. We're not here to guide you. We're not here to tell you how you can solve things. What we're doing right now is identifying the problem. And the problem is the system of government. Now, is the idea of democracy dead in this country? Probably, because Labour, Conservatives, you're going to get one or the other and nothing changes. They're two cheeks of the same arse. And then when we get into a situation like we have over the last 3 years, they all vote in lockstep with one another to your detriment.
Yeah, and nobody challenges it. That's the problem. Nobody accepts that we are their masters. Nobody really takes that response, and that's the problem, because if you let them lead you, and by lead I mean control you, tell you what to do, impose more and more restrictions and laws on your daily life, then that's exactly what they'll do. Because that's one of their aims.
They'll do it without telling you.
Yeah,
They'll do it without telling you.
And this is just another example. Rachel Reeves, the MP, right? And she's obviously a Labour MP or something like that, okay, right? So almost $1 billion worth of PPE burnt by this Tory government, right? Working people deserve a government that will treat their hard-earned taxes with respect. This is what a Labour government will do. No, it won't. No, it won't.
No, what a Labour government will do
exactly.
will just tax us more.
But it doesn't matter. Any government, regardless of party, but the Labour government will just do exactly what the Tory government is doing. It will take money off you and it will spend it on themselves.
Remember the infamous note after Labour had finished governing, there's no money left.
Remember what the aims of government are: control the people, feather their own nest. And that's exactly all they do. They take money off you and look at the amount of tax that you pay. I mean, 33% has gone straight away between tax and national insurance, right? And that's if you're a low taxpayer. So you've lost 33% of your wage straight away. Using 20% of everything you buy, because that goes in VAT. You're losing something like 86% of your fuel cost is tax.
Cigarettes, alcohol.
Yeah, it's all
all
tax,
of these things are
tax,
heavily
tax.
taxed.
Yeah.
And
so
that one little bit of money that you've earned is taxed 50 times.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. That one bit of money. How much of it is even yours? Any of it?
Exactly.
Anyway,
So,
something else that our
your
taxes paying for during the coronation ceremony coming up in just over a month's time, we will be crowning not just our king, will we, John, but our.
Well, he might be yours, but he's selling it as she's not mine. This is just a joke. I mean, so the problem is, if you're going to play by the royalty rules, then surely you should be playing by the royalty rules. You can't just rename people.
Actually, I believe under the rules, a king has the power to make his queen consort his queen, whereas a queen does not have the power to make a king.
God.
I believe that's someone can fact check me, but I believe that is the case. I believe, because obviously the king is the ultimate power in the land, right? Always has been, and the queen is the woman by the king's side. And
I mean, at this point, we might as well be living in fucking Game of Thrones. We really might as well be.
Well, Harold makes a good point. The patriarchy, and I mean, it truly is the definition of a patriarchy. because the man has ultimate power, and the man has always had ultimate power.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. Are
Can you
are
see?
you all happy about this? Our new queen. Do you know what? I've got to the point where I don't care. I just don't care. But
think
if
it
you
was
do
a
care
s-
and you want,
Well, I think it was a silly move, right? And it's not because, as you know, I'm certainly not a royalist, right? But I think
No.
it's a silly move because people did have a special place in their heart for the Queen, right? For Queen Elizabeth II. So I think it's a silly move on his behalf to call her the Queen. I think he should just have left her as Queen Consort, because that would probably have assuaged the wrath of the previous royal, followers. But now they're going to start turning against him, and I think he's maybe just bringing along the demise of the royal, family quicker than he would normally. I might be wrong.
yeah. So Dreadeye says, "Do we really need them?" No.
No, we don't.
Is the
Of course
answer.
we don't.
But I would like to announce that he's being coronated on a Saturday, right? So we are going to do a one-off Saturday stream. We do them for special events. So if you'd like to watch it and enjoy it, then watch it with us. Is what I'm going to say to you, because we're going to have some fun with old sausage fingers during his
jeez.
coronation.
Sausages of the king's hand.
Do you know what? I might even cook hot dogs and just sit here eating hot dogs during.
You'd be sick. Right, staying with the royal family. Right. So, Concerned Citizen gives us this one. What is this clown up to?
Prince William personally honoured to hand Jacinda Ardern important new royal. What is this important new royal job?
Well, the board of trustees at Prince William's Earthshot Prize, which he's probably running as a charity, has recruited a new member.
Oh, Jacinda Ardern.
Yeah. Now,
look, she's
needs not even fucking British.
Doesn't she? Yeah, but didn't she study here? I mean, didn't she start her political career under Tony Blair?
Half the fucking Chinese nation studied here, right?
Yeah, but she started, like I said, she started her political career under Tony Blair.
The whole thing's just nepotism and sickness, and it just makes my skin crawl. I find the whole thing repellent. It really is. They are repellent people. They're just so much. I mean, look at them. They're just sitting there so fucking smug because nothing can touch them. Till they're having to eat cake instead of bread. Then the next thing, we're having to slice it with that big slicer that the French invented, and somebody's hand or head gets in the way. And
I'm saying nothing.
And it all goes to pot.
Saying nothing. I mean, I'd certainly like to see one of those big slicers when I'm in central Paris, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I hope they are protesting the day I go out, because Jesus, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Bring out the bread slicer.
Harold has already said I'll probably get tear gas, but do you know what, guys?
We get a huge loaf here. Bring out the bread slicer.
I also will probably take my riot helmet just in case.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But, anyway, right.
Yeah,
Aldo here. Aldo, as always, brings us the news. Twitter officials admit they've removed over 5,000 posts regarding a Trans Day of Vengeance, right?
Something to do with a poster, isn't it?
Yeah, now this is part of what we were saying the other day. Because, and do not for one instant think I am excusing any kind of violence by any group, right?
No.
But what's happening is these people are being pointed towards using violence because they think everyone's against them.
Well,
because they've been told that. They've been told it's a genocide on them, right? They think that
Even
people
by the
are
bloody
trying.
White House.
What, can I finish? They think people are trying to wipe them out. And that's why they're taking up arms and being so aggressive, because the media is feeding this pish into them all the time. And that's not the case.
Familiar.
That's
Sounds
not
familiar.
the case.
The media feeding people pish that's not the case all the time.
Yeah. And
The last 3 years didn't happen.
But this is exactly what we've been banging on about. And of course, if people feel threatened, what do? They lash out. You're driving these, in effect, these people are being brainwashed into becoming, like loose cannons.
I'm gonna say something. This might sound pretty controversial, but right, I'm gonna say it. I've made the point on this show that I believe anybody can live as they want, identify as they want, right? Within their own lives, within their own selves. Be happy, don't harm anybody, don't try and force anybody to, acknowledge anything or anything like that. Just go and be you. However, the trans lobby, and I'm not talking about, trans people as a whole here. I'm talking about the trans lobby, the militant wing that goes out there, goes on social media. I think the biggest victims of the trans lobby are trans people.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you know what? Most of the people that you see lobbying for trans aren't trans.
Are not trans. No.
I mean,
and the sad reality of the situation is that they will throw you away. They don't care about you.
They don't.
They don't. They're using you for their own agenda to poke people with a stick. That's it.
I mean, you think about it. The thing that gets me is, and I might be wrong here, okay, but in days gone by, people that had identity crisis as they were growing up, maybe they wanted to be a mouse or something like that, what happened was they went through it and moved on, right? Or they became a goth or a punk and they expressed themselves like that, okay? And then they moved on and became normal functioning members of society, right? But now, what happens is you're forcing puberty blockers on kids, and it's child abuse, because nobody at that age, especially when going through things like puberty, has the mental capacity to make proper decisions, because everything's changing. Your body's changing. Your processes are changing. Your hormones are changing. You're up and down like a freaking yo-yo, and these people are taking complete advantage of them and turning these people into freak shows and destroying their lives, because they can never go back. You can't revisit it. If you block it, that's it. You're done.
And it's not just that. There is a movement of detransitioners, people who listened to older people when they were kids and went through some of these things. I mean, some of these are girls that have had double mastectomy. Some of these are boys who have had parts removed, and you can't get those parts back, right? No. Now, if you are an adult and you want to make these decisions for yourself, and you want to go through these things, that's nobody's business but yours, your doctors, your psychiatrists, whatever. But we are failing children.
97% of people that were under 21 that identified as trans have changed their mind by the time they're 21 and have gone back to their birth gender.
But at the end of the day, like I said, we're not dunking on people who want to live as they choose. We're not.
No, of course we're not. But what we're dunking on is people that are forcing these people into making decisions when the time isn't right, and
that's
changing,
why I will
changing them.
That's why I will repeat my statement. In my personal opinion, the biggest victims of the trans lobby are trans people or gender confused people themselves, because these people are loudly, militantly, and using their voice to do things on your behalf that maybe you don't even agree with. That maybe you do, because I don't know about you, but most people just want to be left alone. From my experience, and I guarantee you, most trans people are exactly the same. They just want to do their thing, get on with their life, and live as they are. But this lobby, this group of people, They're stopping you at being able to do that. They're speaking on your behalf, and they're making people hate you because of the things that they're saying. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
It's just
no,
my opinion.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I'm completely against this whole thing that we've got going on in the world just now. It's just it really disturbs me. It really, really does.
Well, the fall of Western civilization is happening right now. It is. It is.
And then we have things like this, and Aldo put this video up, and I'm not quite sure what was going on, but these all look like brides, right?
They do.
And there was guys hanging about in the background, all dressed in kind of uniform. So it might have been some kind of military mass wedding, right?
I think that's a fair assumption.
Okay. So that guy getting his selfie taken is none other than Vladimir Putin. he's walking past them, and they all are jumping up and down with excitement. I think some of them might have weed themselves with excitement, right? And they drag him in, and they start taking selfies with them. Okay, and I'm thinking
I've just
to myself,
married Sergei, but Vladimir, take me to bed.
Yeah, but I'm thinking to myself, see tonight when Sergei's giving it Tonka, she's not
thinking of Vladimir.
She's not thinking of Sergei.
She's thinking of that topless Vlad riding that bear. Oh.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh.
It was wild. See that girl right beside him, the one with the dark hair? My God, you should see that. She was literally jumping up and down with excitement. It was so funny.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand the point for the whole "not one trans insight" tweet here. I don't understand the point.
I think that doesn't really matter, but you know, it was the other thing that got me, the whole thing that was going on.
Before we move on to our next slide, I want to stay with this subject just for a second, because I want to give a piece of advice to everybody right now. The way that we make these sorts of things go away is by ignoring them. Because what happens when a fad occurs, right? Let's say Pogs, Pokemon cards, yo-yos. They come in, everybody talks about them, they get popular, and then people get bored and start ignoring them. What happens when that happens? They go away.
Yeah, well, Pokemon's never gone away.
Well, Pokemon moved to games consoles, and there are still cards, but remember the craze of the cards. It's not really a thing anymore.
No,
but
it's not.
This is what happened. The more we talk about something, the more relevance we give it. The more relevance we give it, the more prominent it becomes. The more prominent it becomes, the more power it obtains. Just take away its power.
See that in the chat room's talking about Bud Light. Okay.
Dylan Mulvaney.
I just cannot stick that guy.
I am telling you now, Dylan Mulvaney he's playing the long game. He's troll.
Oh, he's either mentally ill, right, or he is, as you say. I'm convinced he's just playing a game. You know.
Remember, the guy's an actor.
Yeah.
And he was doing things like Book of Mormon, Broadway, stuff like that. Then it all shut down. So he had no work.
He's a shit actor as well.
Yeah, but still, he had no work.
Yeah.
And so he got himself a majorly large TikTok account where he's being nicely funded now by his whole day 365 of being a guy. He's trolling.
Yeah, it's just he's another one that makes my skin crawl because he behaves like a 6-year-old girl.
But once again,
the way to make Dylan man.
The way to make Dylan Mulvaney go away is to stop having conversations like this.
Yeah.
Just ignore him. Ignore him. You know, they only have the power, they only have the reach that we allow them to have. And with that, please share this stream so that we can have some more reach and maybe entertain a few more people. We'd appreciate that. But yeah, they only have the power, the reach that we allow them to have. So just ignore people like Mulvaney and they go away. It's as simple as that. It really is. Let's move on to a tweet here from, I want to say that says Spriter. Does that say Spriter?
It does say Spriter, I would say.
Lavrov, the dollar has been removed from half of the transactions between Russia and China. In his speech, the Russian foreign minister said that half of the payments between Russia and China are made through the national currencies of both sides, excluding the dollar. This is the end of the United States as a superpower.
Well, it's the beginning of it. Yeah.
Mission creep. Yeah, mission creep.
Yeah.
It's little things at a time. But, you know, the Biden administration has absolutely no power on the world stage. It doesn't. Screwed.
Yeah.
Screwed.
Yeah. And it's about time. It really is. I mean, it's time the dollar was... The problem is you're going to get the death throes of the superpower as it kicks around. And you can see it happen. I mean, we can see it happening already. We can see it happening in the Indo-Pacific arena with AUKUS and the submarines and with them going back to the Philippines and things like that. So, you know, they're trying to destabilize a nation or an area that's been perfectly stable for the last, I don't know how many decades, 30 decades, you know?
Yeah.
30 years, whatever. 3 decades. Right, so Spriter again, right? And we're on this is the end of NATO, isn't it?
No, because it's I'm actually going to push back a
No,
little
it's
bit.
not.
I don't.
This isn't the end of NATO. This is the end of Ukraine.
Well, yeah, because this statement here, Ukraine will enter NATO after the victory over Russia. Jens Stoltenberg says there's going to be no victory over Russia.
Yes, I understand that. But what he's saying is Putin can't leave any part of Ukraine. Or the part of Ukraine that he's going to leave has to be small enough that he fulfills what he said he was going to do. Because Putin said he was if they didn't come to the table and if they didn't do what they were told and Ukraine was no longer neutral, right, then he would drive them 150 kilometers back. Well, he didn't say 150 kilometers. He said he would drive them back from the Russian border as far as their longest range weapon. Right? So if the Americans keep giving them longer range weapons, he'll drive them further back until there's no Ukraine left.
And do you know what? That is just we're not supporting either side of this situation here.
Definitely
we're just
not.
looking at it analytically,
Mhm.
and I'm telling you, this is nothing but poking the bear.
Mhm.
This is once again because I believe NATO made promises to Russia that they would not expand anywhere near them. Now they want to expand literally onto their border. I mean,
Yeah.
there's wrong on all sides here. There really is. There's wrong on all sides here. I mean, it's just such a shit show. And I'm telling you, if something doesn't simmer down soon, it's going to be, and I think it's being orchestrated to be this way, there's going to be a fucking world war. There is.
Of course it's been orchestrated to be this way because the peace treaty was ready to be signed. The deal was
Then Boris
effectively
Johnson
done.
turned up.
Yeah. And then fucking the clown turns up and tells the other clown, no, you can't deal with them. We'll keep giving you stuff. Keep pushing them back. And look at Zelensky now. I mean, look at the fucking state of the guy. He looks like he's crying every day. He probably is. He's probably shitting himself. He's probably thinking, when can I get out of here? When can I go and live in Miami? You know?
Well,
Because
what makes you think he's not already there and just using a green screen?
he could well be, but I mean, he's like, because his country's gone. It's gone. I mean, it's been deindustrialized by Europe and America over the last 30 years. So they've raped it of its resources. 10 million people or more have left the country, so it's lost over a quarter of its population, right? It's got nothing left. I mean, what are you going to do? Where are you going to start? I mean, probably half its fields are full of mines. It's going to take you fucking years to get it back into operation. The thing is a massive shit show. And then you've got, he's thrown all his top troops into Bakhmut, and it's gone. You know, the Wagner group are ramping through there now on a daily basis. They're killing 1,000 or more a day. Advika's falling. It's going down as well. So, and even the Ukrainian army are now saying we're taking big hits. You know, we can't take it.
They're saying per Ukrainian sources, their army base has been rooted in the second of the three main fronts, Avdiivka. Over 1,000 killed or missing, slaughtered for nothing. End this madness. Negotiate now from this account here. Can you read out the account? Because I can't see it.
Sorry, can I read out what?
The account name.
Aurelius Redux.
But this is it, and this is something that I've been saying since the very beginning of this. Is at the end of the day, the reality of the situation is, no matter who the leader is, this is about leaders, world leaders, swinging their dicks about, trying to measure their dicks. And what's really happening is, in this instance, 1,000 innocent people who are simply being ordered to go and do something have died. Right? It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. At the end of the day, I think it's unacceptable that that armies exist, and that I know that makes me sound really, really weird, but unless you really, really need to stop like an onslaught or an invasion, what need do you have to send people to die?
Well, most of your, in fact, it's not even most, all of your military actions are nearly always economic. Ultimately.
Of course. You know, at the end of the day, I woke up and I came out to John as a full-blown anarchist the other day. Right? I'm done. I'm done with. I think the idea of government. I think the idea of serving government, because that's essentially what an army does. Despite the fact that government are meant to serve you, I think all this needs to stop. I think all it's doing is making our lives worse. It is making our lives harder. It is making our lives poorer. The entire system is fucked. It needs to be rooted from the ground up. It needs to be changed. Am I saying there doesn't need to be some kind of, leadership or anything like that? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the system as a whole, as it stands, is wrong. We've already said this on the show tonight, but it's got to go. And the people that are within the system right now all need to be rooted out. They can't be allowed to be in that system again.
And
it needs to start again.
Yeah, the thing that gets me is America was built with the whole idea of restraining government power, of not allowing this kind of thing to happen. Because
exactly.
That's why you had the federalism. That's why you've got the three different, chambers, the legislative, the judiciary, and the executive. So America was built to avoid what's happening right now in America. So even that doesn't work.
Because the Constitution is
break
a beautiful document.
Sorry?
The Constitution is a beautiful document. It really is. The idea on that document is very, very noble.
But one of the things in one of the things that really stops it, and it's the same for France, which is also a federal republic, right? Is the ability of the president to make executive decisions without putting it through a vote.
Let's move on, shall we, to a tweet here from Ninny D, and it says, breaking news from The Independent, coherent radio signal detected from alien planets. It's happening, John!
Is it? I mean, it's like...
It's happening!
We've been waiting for the aliens for ages.
It's happening right now.
Yeah, I think it's just the Independent being the Independent. They've got to come up with some crap
it is.
to try and make themselves relevant.
You know what? At this rate, at this point, bring the fucking alien invasion on. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Well, you may change your mind. Look what's going on in Wales, right? So this tweet from Sandra: a gang of feral sheep are terrorising a Welsh village and causing havoc.
Have you seen a New Zealand-made film called Black Sheep?
Or does it involve someone getting forced off a? Does it involve someone getting forced off a cliff by sheep?
I believe so. It's comedy horror.
Yeah,
right? The sheep drink some. The sheep end up drinking some sort of nuclear waste or something.
Yeah,
and they essentially turn into zombie sheep. Yeah, it's happening.
So here you go. A gang of sheep are terrorising a Welsh village. The flock have reportedly taken over the village of Blep, with around 30 of them roaming free and causing havoc in local gardens and nearby roads. One local dad said his children were no longer able to play outside and said they're everywhere. The whole village is full of them now. There's probably 30 plus feral sheep.
Do you know what? I'm gonna stand with the sheep, and the reason I'm gonna do that is because it's Wales, and God knows what they've been through. But secondly, you know, we shear them, we steal their wool, we kill their young for our lovely Sunday roasts. Maybe it is time that they get to have a little roam around the village. Right, give them cut them some slack, guys. Let's give the sheep a break. Right, I'm with the sheep.
So the country that you're going to early next month.
Yep.
One of the mayors in a French town near the coast wanted to start a migrant asylum centre, and the locals didn't agree with the mayor's decision and burnt his house down.
I mean, to each their own, John. To each their own.
I would say that's pretty much direct democracy, right there.
I would perhaps say it was a vote of no confidence in the decisions this man was making.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't condone the burning down of one's house. I will say that. I
definitely not.
Definitely not. But I will say it may well have sent a clear and present message. That's a fact here. Have we got stuff about the Trump indictment? Are we getting there?
Yeah, just chill out.
I'm just saying, we're more than halfway through the show, and I ain't seen nothing yet, and I'm ready to get into the meat and bones of it. Anyway, back to Ninny D. Says,
yeah.
Have you seen this? Tired of living on welfare, go fight for our proxy war. Then I don't think this is real.
Well, apparently it is. That's Idaho in the States.
Yeah, but is it real, or is it something some troll has put there? This is what I mean.
Well,
I don't think it's real.
If they have gone to the trouble of putting that there, right? The one thing that really I don't like is the phone number.
Right.
The phone number doesn't look right because it doesn't have enough digits.
Like I said, is it real?
Number. What?
Is it real? I'm not so sure. I think that this is a troll. And you know,
but if it is,
nothing that you hear and only half of what you see.
That's I think it's on a subway or something in Idaho, which is pretty crazy. I did question it, but
literally the person holding the camera could have put it in there themselves.
They
taken
could,
a picture
yes, they
and
could
taken it
have.
away.
It's not sealed. They could.
Yeah.
have.
I'm just, you know, I've got to play devil's advocate here, and I've got to take a look at this.
I agree.
And I say I don't believe it's real. That's just my opinion.
That's fine. This one's real.
Go for it. It's from the
Pentagon.
They do.
The Pentagon have denied that there was a nuclear weapons accident at a Dutch air base. It's completely untrue. It never happened. They do keep nuclear weapons at this base, by the way, right? But they're saying it was a training exercise and it wasn't a real nuke. We were just looking at an unarmed weapon when somebody dropped it and broke the tip off it.
Fair enough.
So if the Pentagon's claiming it never happened, I'm pretty sure that it was a real broken arrow.
Speaking of broken arrows, Spriter once again says Macron flew to China for a visit. It was reported that he would beg China to withdraw its support for Russia. In fact, I believe the statements that one of the world's most wanted men, Emmanuel Macron, said was he will force China to withdraw its support for Russia. I don't think he will.
Did you see what the Chinese foreign minister said?
No.
He said, "We welcome all tourists."
I mean, the thing is, Emmanuel Macron has no real sway in his own country. They're burning it down around him. They're going for nice meals in cafes whilst the streets burn behind them so that they can send him a message. He has no... If he can't even, if he can't even control, so to speak, or at least lead his own people, how does he have any power on the world stage to force China to withdraw its support for Russia? He's got none.
I think this photograph sums it up, mate. I really do. Look at the expression on Macron's face. He's like, I'm not really getting anywhere with this guy.
I can imagine the conversation and how it went now. Xi Jinping's just looking at him going, your own house on fire! Your own house on fire! You think you'll tell me what to do? Your own house on fire!
Look at the state of the expression on him. He looks like someone who's going, oh shit, I'm here for another 3 days and he's already told me I'm getting nothing.
He's gonna get nothing.
I know.
Of course he's gonna get nothing. The man's got no... Like I say, they're marching guillotines down the fucking street in Paris.
Yeah, I know.
Netanyahu rejects Biden's call to drop Israel judicial overhaul.
Why have I not got anything about... I haven't got a slide for... I don't have a slide for Donald.
It's literally the title of the fucking show.
I know. Well, see, clickbait. Right,
so after this
on the
slide,
title of the
talk
show.
about it.
Well, you can talk about it after this one, right? So, Joe Biden is effectively telling Israel that it needs regime change. Is effectively trying to promote a colour revolution in Israel as we speak. What the fuck has gone wrong between Israel and America? And secondly, why is America interfering in Israel's politics? Because Netanyahu has turned around and said, fuck off, Joe.
Isn't this the sort of thing they impeached Donald Trump on when it comes to Ukraine?
It doesn't even matter whether they impeach Donald Trump or not. Because, I mean, let's face it, Trump is an irrelevance at this point. Okay? What the fuck? The Democratic Party is it's like a 2-year-old child that has never been chastised for doing anything. It's having a fucking full-blown tantrum, and it's stomping around the world, imposing its will on everyone, and nobody's standing up to it, apart from maybe Israel.
No, you're right. You're right. The Democratic Party are they're just children at the end of the day. They don't know what they're doing, and America, because of that party, has lost all respect on the world stage. And then look at what they're doing in New York City. Look what they did yesterday in New York City to Donald Trump. I'm sorry, but it was the Democratic Party. The judge in the case, before we get into anything, is obviously a Trump hater. His wife is a Trump hater. His daughter runs some kind of company or campaign group that work for the Biden-Harris campaign and have worked for Kamala Harris. It's obvious that the deck is stacked against Donald Trump here. And when you look at the indictments, when you look through them, it's basically the same thing 34 times, copy and pasted, right, over and over again. The statute of limitations is actually out on them, but Alvin Bragg is trying to use this tolling thing. And then they've been upgraded from misdemeanors to felonies because he's claiming that he did these things to cover up a second crime. But at no point within the indictments is there mention of a second crime. They don't say what the second crime is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
No, I know we didn't. No, we couldn't have.
No, because now it's all been all been unsealed.
Yeah. So but the indictments. The indictment, it's a New York indictment, and the indictment's not even an indictment. It doesn't even tell you what the crime's meant to be. It's a paragraph which, in two judges' views, two former retired judges, is a mishmash of nothing. You know?
Alvin Bragg was elected on the platform of I'm going to get Trump, right? And instantly, that makes this whole thing sus. It makes the whole thing suspect.
Of course it is.
He's pled not guilty. I think rightfully so. And I mean, one of these two payments, because it's two payments apparently. One to Stormy Daniels, who now owes Trump $600,000 because she's full of shit.
Yeah.
And one to a Playboy model. And Trump still maintains he slept with neither of them, by the way. But also, Trump never made these payments with his own money. He didn't make these payments with campaign money. He didn't make these payments. Someone else made these payments and said that they were on his behalf for this thing. How is this being able to stand?
See, that depends. It depends. I mean, I think what the contention is, the money came out of corporate funds, right?
Well, it didn't. It didn't even come out. The money didn't even come out of Trump funds. Basically, what they're saying is checks that were written to Michael Cohen, labeled as legal services because, Michael Cohen was his fucking lawyer.
Yeah.
Right? Weren't actually for legal services, they're alleging. They're just making that bit up because they got surely no proof of that.
Well, yeah. So they're alleging that the checks were then reimbursed. So Donald Trump would write a check to Michael Cohen. That check that Donald Trump wrote to Michael Cohen was then reimbursed from his corporation, which is what makes it a crime, right? It's
even pundits on CNN
it's
think
not,
this is going to fail.
It's not going to stick. I don't think it's going to stick.
Even, like I say, even pundits on CNN say this is gonna fail, and CNN are the fuck Trump network. So when they're saying that this is, and they've got pundits on saying this is gonna fail, this is absolute horse shit. This is a textbook example, in my opinion, of election interference. If you want to talk about real election interference, the thing that they tried to impeach Donald Trump on regarding Ukraine, this is it. Because also this opens up a whole bunch of avenues, doesn't it? Because if you can start indicting people on things like this, then what about all of the media outlets? What about the people who signed documents, the intelligence analysts saying that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation? Because they're also alleging that what Trump did here in these indictments is election interference.
Yeah.
So if that's election interference, then surely all this other stuff is too.
Well, what about Hillary and her emails? That's got to be election interference.
I don't think they thought this through. Put it that way. I really don't think, because if they manage somehow to get him on this, they've opened up a Pandora's box against themselves, and people will go in.
Yeah.
So just be prepared, Democrats. Be prepared, because that's exactly what's going to happen. But hey ho, Isabel Oakeshott says, well, you know what? This picture from Bob Moran, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, and this might shock you, I'm not a great fan of Bob Moran.
I'm not a great fan of anyone.
Yeah, but I'm not a great fan of Bob Moran because I think a lot of the time his cartoons either aren't funny or they completely miss the mark. Okay? This cartoon's probably closer than some I've seen, right? It's making a relatively reasonable point. I think that's meant to be Piers Moron, and obviously that's GHB, right? You can tell that because of her large nipples. Okay. But
I mean, okay.
But what's actually concerning me most in this tweet isn't the cartoon. It's a statement from Oakeshott.
Nobody fought more bravely and consistently against lockdowns, face masks, school closures, mandatory vaccination, and child vaccination than Julia Hartley Brewer. What a silly cartoon. Hello.
No, but
fought way harder. Just saying.
GHB didn't.
No, let me cut her some slack, right? Because she was
I'm
the
not
only...
saying she was the worst, but she didn't. She wasn't a strong player against these things.
And especially when it comes to mandatory treatments, right? She was tweeting. Well,
to go on holiday.
I was going to say, who cares whether or not she took them? That's not the point.
No,
right?
I think it's relevant, right? I think it's relevant whether she took them or not, because if she's saying that mandatory treatments are not a good thing and shouldn't be enforced, but then she goes and takes them, not for medical reasons, right?
Well, this is the point that I was going to make.
Purely to go on holiday, then she is effectively endorsing mandatory treatments.
Yeah, I mean, this is the point that I was going to make, because if somebody genuinely wants to go and take any medical treatment, I couldn't give two shits. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
But when they start promoting the fact that they're doing it so that they can enter the mandatory system, then how is that fighting against the mandatory? And then she would make statements, and this is where I'm going to push back. I would never use a vaccine passport in my own country. So then why were you going to use them in other countries?
Yeah,
I mean,
see, exactly, nonsense.
It is nonsense, but hey ho, it is what it is.
Spencer's clocked that that's JHB. He's probably going to put that in his wank bank now.
I assume so. Yeah. Good old Spencer. He does love a bit of Julia, doesn't he?
He does.
He does. And, you know, all power to him. He can love who he likes. Teresa, who I believe is in the chat here today, says, seriously, Scotland, and I refer to SNP voters, what have you done? Allahu Akbar, Scotland's new racist jihadi leader, this is from Amy Meck, Hamza Youssef, won't allow women or girls into the same room with him while he's praying.
No, of course he won't.
That's part of his religion.
Yeah.
So what are we saying here?
Well, I mean, right. So Hamza was posting all these pictures about him, you know, celebrating these ascension, his ascension to First Minister, and then leading prayers with his family, right? But his family's not there. When he says his family, he means the men from his extended family. That's what he means. He doesn't mean his actual wife and kids.
So what you're telling me? So what you're telling me is he's not a progressive.
No, of course he's not. Of course he's.
But then he acts. But then he acts like a progressive.
Yeah.
Because if you're a hardline
playing a game.
I was going to say, if you are hardline in line with these religions, these Abrahamic religions, then you can't, by definition, be a progressive. You can't.
You can't. And fact, he's not a progressive.
No.
He has. I mean, you could, when you look at the way he treats people, he has no regard for those that, one, are not Muslim, right? He has no regard for those who are white. And I
was going to say, in my personal opinion, the guy's a fucking racist.
Oh, yeah, he is. And he has absolutely no regard for anyone who's a woman.
Let's move on anyway. From Sprite is getting a good old coverage tonight.
Yeah, Sprite's done well today.
British media celebrates the terrorist attack in St. Petersburg. The Time released a disgusting cartoon mocking the death of Vladimir Tatarsky. Shameful behavior. Wow.
That's pretty poor. That's pretty poor form.
I mean,
this is the Times
we're
talking about.
I mean, it is. Wow. Now, regardless of whether or not the guy himself was an asshole, there were innocent people inside that cafe just going for a drink and stuff, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to mock that.
Yeah.
That's not right.
This is we're back in World War II now. We're back at World War II levels of propaganda.
Dehumanization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is dehumanization. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it doesn't matter what color skin you are. It doesn't matter what country you live in. It doesn't matter fucking who you pray to, what spaghetti monster you love. It doesn't matter who you sleep with. We're all the same. We're all just people trying to get along. We're all just people trying to make a better life for ourselves and for our kids and the like. And this is just wrong. And we need to stop dehumanizing one another. We need to stop fighting one another. Stop finding reasons to hate one another, because what good is it doing us? It's just ultimately leading to more control over us. So,
Yep.
you do what you want to do, but that's my advice.
So another one from Spriter. So the Malaysian PM has proposed an Asian monetary fund. Now you know why America's suddenly wanting to get back into the Philippines and wanting to do deals with New Zealand and Australia. So the Malaysian PM proposes Asian monetary fund to reduce dependence on the US dollar. China's Xi Jinping says he welcomes further talks on the issue. I bet he does, because he's probably set it up in the first place. Probably came from him by the back door. But you look at that picture, and those 5 guys there represent more than half the world's population and more than half the world's resources.
Let's move on. Let's move on, because just look at that face. That's the man.
We looked at that earlier.
Okay, let's get into the funnies then. Let's just get.
And
into
there's not
the
a lot of funnies today, right?
No, there aren't.
And
but,
this
you know,
isn't really. It's not even really a funny, this one, is it?
Well, no, it's just a fact, isn't it?
Yeah,
this
it's a fact.
This is the point. Sharing memes is election interference and sends you to prison, as has happened in the case over on your left, and arresting a political party's lead political opponent, not election interference. I would say, and also making up the reasons to arrest him, because that is, in my personal opinion, what has happened here, right? Alvin Bragg should probably face charges.
Yeah.
He should probably face charges. If we were living in a just world, which I don't think we are.
No, I don't think we are, but yeah. I think he should face charges. And the other thing, Zelensky's done exactly the same thing, remember? He arrested his top political opponent, and then he banned the entire party and made them illegals.
Yeah, that's what corrupt dictators do. I'm just saying, that's what they do. And the invitation of the century, design of official coronation invite that will be dropping on 2,000 very lucky people's doors, is unveiled. So are they just random people? 2,000 random people?
I don't know. But the question is, right, why would you post that in this day and age? Because somebody's going to copy that and start sending it around to people.
What do you mean? You mean people were about to going to do what I was about to literally suggest we do?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that came to my mind was, that's a blank slate. It doesn't even have draft over it.
Nope.
You could
get that sent out.
You could just print that up and then put it in nice posh envelopes and send it out to people that you don't like and say, come to London on such and such a day. Then they'll turn up. They'll turn up with their invite and they'll go, who the fuck are you? I've come to see the king. Fuck off, puss. Yeah, I think that'd be quite funny. But then again,
put it
I'm
up
twisted.
on some nice card.
It's horrible. It's freaking horrible, isn't it?
I mean, it is. It's ugly as sin.
I mean, what's it like? It's like it's been designed by someone who's on some kind of acid trip.
That's Charles on an acid trip when he's talking to his flowers. He's going, you Petunia, you're going on the card. You, Phyllis, you're also going on the card.
I don't know if anyone else remembers when they were very young and we had this, like, remember when you used to have this mental, like, paisley patterned wallpaper and all that? No? And I used to lie in my bed looking at it and drawing patterns in my mind with it. Either that or I'd been sniffing gas or something, I don't know. Not that I ever did sniff gas.
And now we move on, ladies and gentlemen.
Of drugs. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs.
Or, you know, do drugs if you'd like.
No,
don't tell us about it.
Not on this platform.
No, don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. So,
don't do drugs.
Giggle Pops tells us the dangers of smoking weed. Jesse Chavez fires off an enraged tweet to to Pizza Hut. I ordered one large pizza and it came. I don't know if it was a joke, but literally nothing on, just the crust, no cheese sauce, no nothing, no toppings, nothing. Pizza Hut, Jess, would like to hear more about this order. Please contact us at Pizza Hut with the details. My bad. I was high as fuck and opened the pizza upside down. At least he admitted that. It's a good one.
That is a good one. That is a good one. Do you know what? I remember once I when I was a teenager and I had partaken accidentally, I might add, in the devil's lettuce, right? I ordered a Domino's pizza with 9 meat toppings on it, and the fucking thing was like that tall. And I just sat there with the munchies going, "This is the best thing in the world.
Best pizza ever.
Best pizza ever." So I can understand Jesse Chavez here wanting the pizza. Put it that way. I can understand the want. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you've enjoyed our little foray into the news, our little look at some funnies and the like, you can support us if you would very much like to at patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, or indeed Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. The one thing you can do that's free is click that little link in the description now to go to our Rumble channel, in chat, and subscribe over there, because obviously we don't know what times are bringing us at the moment, and so we simulcast. We are also on Rumble as we speak, and if we can't be live here for some reason, and we have said that we are not cancelling a show, we will be live there. So it's always good to have the backup in place. If you could go and subscribe over there, we would really appreciate it. But if you can support us in any other way, then please, we would also appreciate that. We want to build bigger, better, do more things, and hopefully we can push this channel to 1,000 subscribers pretty soon as well.
And a big shout out to all our Ko-fi subs who have coming through again in the new month. So thank you. We really appreciate sticking around. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we do. We do. We appreciate you all.
We love you.
We're going now. But John,
okay.
Until Friday.
No, tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Till tomorrow, when we will be back live with Suzanne Seddon.
Are you
How
coming?
could I have forgotten? She's... Am I coming?
Are you going to turn up? I'm going to have to do
I'll leave that one.
I'm going to have to do a 3-scene set. Anyway, with that, I'd like to thank one and all for attending this episode 211 of Chasing Dissent Live with me, John, from that horrible, horrible land that's just arrested the chief executive of the ruling party. And from Ben in the bottom of this fair land that we call the United Kingdom.
Right at the bottom, the arse end. It's been great.
For you.
You can see the writing on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always, they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation. Too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.